now that we have seen how we can create actually a virtual machine using Portal, and we have also seen how we can create virtual machine using PowerShell. Now we want to see how once a virtual machine is created, it can be ported from one location to the other location. Or if at all you already have a virtual machine in your on-premise, how you can ensure that it gets created in Azure. And things like that is what we want to discuss now. So in that direction, first we have to understand these three things: VHD, VM disk, and VM images. There are three things we have to understand now. Now VHD is a file format first, like docx, BMP, like that. VHD, virtual hard disk. Basically it's a file format, and that particular format is used by all the virtual machines. Now VHD is one format, like that. Different types of virtual machines by different vendors have different types of extension. So Hyper-V virtual machines have VHD and VHDX. Two extensions are there. We are mostly interested in VHD because Azure supports only VHD format. Second is VM disk. Now that VHD is a format, and that is nothing but actually a virtual machine disk, which we are going to attach to the virtual machine. Now that virtual machine can be having only OS disk, or it can also have something like a data disk. Multiple disks can be associated with a virtual machine. Primarily, when we create a virtual machine, we most of the time have only OS disk, and later on need basis we can attach the data disk. And all this, including the information about the virtual machine created, the operating system, the name of the template, the name of the OS, and lots of other user specific information, we will call everything as a VM image. So complete information about the virtual machine, its disks, the VHDs which are created, one or more, the whole template is then referred as a virtual machine image. So always remember, it is the VM image which we are going to use for creation of a virtual machine. Internally, of course, we are ultimately using a VHD disk only. So now there are two types of images. Always, whenever we discuss about virtual machine, we have to discuss about two types of images: generalized image and specialized image. Now what is generalized image? Whenever we picked up a virtual machine from the store, from the gallery, what we have actually picked up is a generalized image. And using that generalized image, we created our virtual machine instance. And like that, maybe different people can have the same image used for creation of multiple virtual machines, and each will be unique. Each will be unique with respect to certain operating system settings. So whenever we want to create a cluster of virtual machines, we want to have multiple virtual machines created for scaling out. In those kind of cases, this is the ideal solution. We have one generalized image, and from that generalized image, we create multiple virtual machines. And these virtual machines we run as multiple instances. And each instance is uniquely identifying itself. And of course, the load getting divided with the help of load balancer. Then what is this specialized image? Specialized image is generally referred as a golden copy of a virtual machine, which basically has the current state of the virtual machine. When the virtual machine was there, whatever was the current state of it, I simply took a snapshot of that existing virtual machine, and from that snapshot I can now create a new virtual machine. So let us say we want exact replica, including the operating system information, including the administrator credentials, in everything we want to keep it as it is. and we want to move that virtual machine from one location to another location. Then we are going to work with specialized image. So two types of images: generalized, specialized. Generalized, as the name implies, is general and can be used in any location for creating multiple instances with each instance having its own identity. Specialized, it is created from a snapshot of an already existing virtual machine, and whatever is the current state of the virtual machine, as it is, everything will be stored in that image. And that image we can then use for creation of a virtual machine as it is. Most of the time, specialized image is used when we want to move from one location to another location, or maybe we want to have a test environment created. We want to test something before we actually move on to the primary virtual machine. So from the existing virtual machine, we will create a snapshot. From the snapshot, we will create a virtual machine, and that virtual machine I'll use it for testing. Once my testing is completed, I will destroy that, and then I will migrate my application to the main virtual machine, the primary virtual machine where it is supposed to go on production. For generalizing an image, we have to use a tool called as sysprep. Any virtual machine can be generalized. So to generalize, we will have to use a tool called as sysprep. Sysprep.exe is the tool. So system preparation. It's a process that you could run on Windows installation that will reset the installation of the system and will provide an out-of-box experience by removing all personal data and resetting several components. Very important. So basically stripping off, we can say, all the OS specific information, user specific information, personal data. We are simply stripping it off from the virtual machine. That process is called as sysprep. So whenever we want to have a virtual machine used as a template for subsequently creating multiple virtual machine, first we will have to generalize it. How to generalize a virtual machine? Let's see this. I go to the virtual machine. I have already created this virtual machine, the demo virtual machine. We have to now do a remote login to that virtual machine first. As it is taking time there, after you remote login, you have to go to the command prompt as administrator. Change to this particular directory, sysprep, and in that folder only we will have sysprep.exe, which is going to launch a dialog box. In the dialog box, we have to use this option, system out of box experience. We have to generalize. We have a check mark. We have to check that and just click OK. Now same thing you can as well do through a PowerShell command. In either case, you'll have to go to remote desktop. You'll have to log in. After you log in, you can simply execute this PowerShell command also, or else use this dialog box. So now what shall we do? Start, search CMD, still taking time. Right click on this and run as administrator. Now go to Windows directory system32 sysprep and execute here sysprep.exe. The dialog box is launched for us. This is fine, we don't have to change. Say generalize, and this is going to restart the virtual machine. We just want to shut down. Click on OK. Now it is going to prepare this virtual machine. It is going to erase all the user specific information like the remote desktop username and password. Operating system name is going to be removed. So anything which we created for a particular user, all that data is going to be removed and the virtual machine is automatically going to shut down. Now, once it is shut down, we'll have to then go to the portal, and in portal we'll have to capture that virtual machine's image. So also very important thing, once it is generalized, remember this virtual machine is of no use. Now I cannot restart this virtual machine. Now I cannot reconnect to this virtual machine. Anything which we will have to do, we will have to now work only on the new virtual machine, which is going to be created from the captured image of this. So it is now completed the action. It's going to restart the machine, and after a while we will have this machine ready for capture. So now I should click on capture and take a disk out of it. But we'll wait for a couple of minutes before we can do this. Now understand it like this. The actual process is supposed to be, I want to now have a virtual machine which is going to have certain ready-made software which I have developed. And that virtual machine I want my customers to make use of for having their own instances. So the ideal thing what I am going to do is take a new virtual machine, and obviously when I create a new virtual machine, the configuration will be assigned to it. There will be a remote desktop login assigned to it. There will be some name to the virtual machine OS which is going to be assigned. All that fine. After that, I am going to do installation of my software, including all its dependencies and everything. I am going to put only that piece of information there which is common to all the users. And once I have completed that, my immediate next action would be to execute sysprep and generalize that virtual machine. Once the virtual machine has been generalized, now I will come here and capture the image out of it. So give a name to the image. Let's keep it as some demo VM image. Existing resource group. Before creating the image, the virtual machine will be deallocated automatically. Yes, I know that that virtual machine now is of no use. So I want that virtual machine to be completely deleted, because unnecessary we are going to make payment for it. So I say automatically delete the virtual machine after creating the image. So we have it now. Just click on create. So it is going to stop the virtual machine. See, there we have only shut down the virtual machine. Now it is stopping the virtual machine completely, even deallocating the virtual machine altogether. And then finally the result of this is one image will get created. Now what is the advantage? We are going to then use that image for creation of a new virtual machine. Rather, we can use the same image for creation of multiple such virtual machines. Now, what we have done here through portal, capturing of image. In case you want, you can do it through PowerShell commands also. So go to PowerShell, login, Now you have to stop the virtual machine here. Right? This is the PowerShell command to stop the virtual machine. Of course, remember virtual machine can be stopped from portal also. But when we are capturing the image, it is automatically stopping it. So no need to do that from portal when you are doing it. But through PowerShell, if you are doing it, it is required. You have to give your virtual machine name. And then this key is important. Now why it is important? Actually, we generalized the virtual machine at the operating system level. But that particular generalized form is not as it is useful for Azure. Azure needs little extra generalization, and that command you'll have to execute here. So whatever virtual machine you have stopped and you want to generalize, this is an extra command. See, because we are capturing the image through portal, portal is executing all these commands for us in background. And then we get the reference to the virtual machine. We are getting the config of the virtual machine. And we are creating an image, new RM image. So this is actually the PowerShell command which is executing for creating a virtual machine out of this image at a specified location. That is important. Likewise, I have also documented in case you want it. If you have a virtual machine, right now we have created a managed image, managed disk, not image. We have created a managed disk. But if you want to have a disk created in your storage account, then you'll have to execute this particular PowerShell command. Then you don't have to do all this. 4, 5, 6 can be skipped. And you can only execute save RM image, Azure RM VM image, and specify all this information. Destination container, which is going to refer to your Azure storage account, and of course the VHDX template is going to be created. The template is nothing but the image information. Of course, if you want to save that template on your disk, you can do that by giving this extra path on your local disk from where you are operating. On that disk, this particular extra path, if you give, a file will be created. And that file probably can be used to read and see that the destination container name is so and so, and in the storage account, this is the storage account. There is a container by name system, and there you have all this. Eventually this is important. That's it, the VHD file. This VHD file we are going to use for subsequently creating a new virtual machine. So you have two choices, rather three things I am showing you at a time. System preparation is common. If you want to generalize a virtual machine, these steps are fixed. You cannot skip these steps. Now you decide to execute either 5 and 6 through portal, or this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, this should be these 1, 2, or these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if at all you decided, no, I don't want the managed disk, I want a disk in storage. In such case, instead of 4, 5, 6, execute skip 4, 5 and 6 step and execute the following. Now problem is portal does not provide a facility to capture an image and store it in the storage account. So this is important. This option or feature is not available in portal. And moreover, nowadays there is no reason why actually we will create an image in storage. We don't need to. We can always be happy with the image created, managed image created. So hopefully by now the managed image should have been created. Let's go to all the resources. And we have the demo VM image. So let us see now how we can upload an on-premise VHD to a storage account. That means we already have a VHD file on our local machine. Like for example, I have a Hyper-V manager is there. Right, I have two virtual machines. One is Ubuntu and the other is Mobile Linux VM, which is actually used by Docker. This is used by Docker, and this I have created for my other demos. Now these virtual machines I want to probably move into Azure. I may have Windows virtual machine like this. You can have any kind of virtual machine. So to move this into Azure, what is the procedure? First and most important thing, certain facts you should know. VHD file must be from a Hyper-V virtual machine, and VHDX is not supported. By default, Hyper-V creates VHDX file. What is only supported is VHD file. VHD virtual machine 1 is what is actually supported. You don't have virtual machine 2 support here. So that is one major problem. So what we will have to do, if at all we have a VHDX file locally, we will have to convert that into VHD file. How we will see that? Second, you have to generalize your on-premise virtual machine. You have to generalize it. I have already shown you how to generalize a virtual machine. One more thing, you cannot have a VHD file which is more than 1 GB. Maximum supported for migrating from local on-premise, 1 TB, sorry, not 1 GB. On-prem to Azure is 1 TB. 1 TB is huge actually. And then we have got a VHD file should be of a fixed virtual disk, fixed size virtual disk. It should not be dynamic. That is also a condition. Fixed size means it is pre-planned. This much size a virtual machine is going to have. Dynamic will grow as per the requirement. So what we'll have to do is, first step, we'll have to select the local machine here. Go to Action, Edit Disk. Next, select your virtual machine. VHDX, select that. Next, you have three options here. One is compacting it. The storage capacity of the hard disk remains the same, but the machine is going to become smaller in size. File size will be reduced. I mean, it will be made compact. That's not our requirement. Our requirement is convert. Compact and expand is not our requirement. So convert, this option converts a virtual hard disk by copying the content to the new hard disk. The new virtual hard disk can use a different type and format than the original hard disk. So whatever is my existing virtual machine, that will remain as it is. And here I have to choose VHD. VHDX is not supported. So VHDX actually has 64 TB, whereas here it is only 2 TB. But we should have only 1 TB, and here I said it should be fixed size, not dynamic expanding. Give a name where the disk is supposed to be created, and click on finish. I'm not doing that. Anyhow, even if I create, it's useless, because to upload that much volume of data, it would take a lot of time from my kind of network. So once that step is completed, what do we have? On our local machine, we have got a VHD file. Remember, before I create the VHD file, I should generalize it. That is important. Now, once we have that, you upload it. This is the command which can be used for uploading it. add Azure RM VHD, or else you directly go to portal, and in portal you upload it. Basically you have to move it into a storage. So into this particular storage we are adding the VM. My local disk is added here. Now once it is there, we can probably use this VHD, or we have already seen earlier also we have got through storage a VHD which can be used for creation of a virtual machine. So ultimately we have got a virtual machine image after generalization. Next we are going to see how to create a virtual machine out of this particular image. That's all in this particular session. Thank you.